Welcome to the City Commission meeting and special meeting. Please turn off and silence all cell phones during the meeting. The meetings are televised on Channel 2 at 6 p.m. and midnight and available for viewing on YouTube. So welcome. First off, we're going to have a semi-annual report from the University of St. Mary. Sister Diane, welcome. It's so good to see you. I feel like it's been a while.
Well, I had a new knee, so I'm still kind of jumping.
Well, is it bionic yet or still?
I'm not quite bionic.
Yeah, almost.
I believe in potential.
Good. Well, we're glad you're here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And that tree you see right there on the edge is a tulip tree, and it's in full bloom right now.
Oh,
so
that's
it might be
great.
because of the blizzard tomorrow.
Oh.
We should take that down.
A few updates from the university. Glad to report things are going well, and we continue to grow. Our business department is sending 10 students to FBLA, which is the Future Business Leaders of America, and they compete in things like entrepreneurship, international business, economics, so very proud of sending them off to Texas. We have an e-trading, or a Spires trading team that trades actual money. They learn to trade puts and calls, and we have now incorporated that into St. Mary Fund, and we're able to take other people's money. So we have now instead of investing $1 million, we're investing $3 million.
Oh, wow.
And the earnings from that pay for the tuition room and board. And besides, usually when they leave with job in hand. So that's a very exciting program for us to help our students. Our master's in social work, we're very proud to say it's fully accredited. That allows us to take people from Missouri now. That program is fully online and right now has 80 students in it.
Wow.
So we should be producing some masters in social work for our great needs in our state. Our accelerated nursing program, which is for people who already have a bachelor's degree, is going to be able to move online to make it more flexible for people who are already working. So they'll be able to do the didactic work, what we call classroom work, and then come to campus for a week or two to make sure they have their clinical skills ready to go. That will open it up to a lot more people because it's hard to give up a full year of pay from your regular job while you're learning to be tooled for the next job. So we're glad to be able to offer that. We're going to be hosting a summer camp for the science people. So to help our science teachers be better prepared to teach science, we have partnered with a group that's going to bring in about 75 teachers to campus, and our faculty will be help teaching them. Again, a lot of hands-on information. How do you best teach science is by doing science. How do you engage young people is by helping them do science. And as a teacher myself, we like to leave with tricks in hand. So here are lesson plans you can take back with you. So that will bring a little more economy to the city as well. St. Mary continues to expand our prison education program. So right now we have about 120 incarcerated individuals enrolled. So we're at the Lansing Correctional Facility, the disciplinary barracks at the fort, and we're at the federal prison. So that at this point we now have 3 and we will have 4 full-time employees managing that program as it continues to grow. Very, very inspirational, and all of the academic ceremonies we do on campus, we modify and take into the facilities. So we have a matriculation ceremony we just did with the disciplinary barracks. We bring all our regalia, we bring our flags, and we'd have to do it in the chapel with candles, but we now have several sets of twist-on candles as when they become St. Maryans, and we do graduation in there as well. So, athletic side, we've had a great winter. Our men's and women's wrestling team both won the conference and sent 10 kids to nationals. Swimming sent 5 kids to nationals. Women won the indoor track, and we also had 2 national champions out of that for indoor track. Men's basketball won the conference in our gym 2 weeks ago, and it was a wild, raucous party. So that was great fun. They went to, thank God they only had to go to Oklahoma for nationals. Our friends in Wichita had to go to Idaho. Oh, wow. Last Friday we hosted the Kansas City Athletic Conference Cheer and Dance Championship. Both our teams won and will be going on to nationals.
Wow.
Whenever we can, we volunteer to host, because that means people come to Leavenworth. They stay in our hotels, they eat our food, and they shop.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
So, well, it's the partnership of the First City U. Our little flags that kids wave around say First City U. So we're very excited about that as well. We're in the midst of finishing up a 5 to 10 year master plan. And it ranges from what I would call tweaks and surgicals to overhauls. First, we need our bathrooms at baseball and softball. It's kind of a basic human need, so we're going to take care of that. And probably our biggest thing we're going to do is take on Xavier Hall. Xavier is one of our older buildings. We're hoping to be able to flatten the theater floor so that I envision it like a hotel ballroom that will be flexible. We're really looking for flexibility for people to use it. It can be a concert hall, you can host a banquet there, you can break it into spaces for different learning. That's our big project there. The second floor, we're going to move our broadcasting studio into that. We broadcast all of our own games. Our students do that. We have classes in that, so we want to make sure they have a bigger space to do that as well. Also the green rooms for projecting and virtual reality learning. So we're excited about that as well. We're going to make a bigger simulation lab because our nursing program grows, so we need to have a simulation lab for that. And then in some of the older spaces, we have beautiful, gorgeous buildings whose interior walls are about 2 foot thick, so you don't move them. So we're going to create more high-flex learning spaces. If you remember, our classrooms are traditionally in rows, you just sit and listen. Well, high-flex classroom is everything's on wheels and moves. So there is no center of the room, there's no front of the room. So the teacher can be here, the students can be in groups. So the students really appreciate those and the faculty love it, and it encourages more hands-on involved learning, which we're really pushing because we know if you want people to learn, they have to do.
Yeah.
The other thing we're really excited about is our new partnership with Kansas Community College. KCCC, a student enrolls in St. Mary and learns a trade at the community college while they're also getting their bachelor's with us.
Oh, wow.
So they're enrolled with us. We have a carpenter now who's a cross-country runner who eventually wants his own business. So he will graduate with two certificates of being a carpenter and a business degree.
That's great.
Wow,
So he's
ready to go.
very excited. We have another 10 to go, so.
And he can run.
Yeah.
And he's a runner.
And he's a runner, so it also gives the kids the college experience they were looking for. But we're looking to probably have 10 or 12. And Marcia Irvine at the
She's
community
great.
college has been marvelous to work with. So our hats off to her too. So that's our new adventure. We continue to explore what are the needs out there. So we're probably going to be bringing on another doctorate, probably doctorate in public health, doctorate in health science, something.
Yes.
In that area. So we're in the middle of the market study for that one. But I'm happy to report that First City U is doing well, excited and continuing to grow.
I love that.
I love
First
it
thing.
too.
You got t-shirts made already?
Yeah, I feel like we need.
Yeah.
We need t-shirts.
T-shirts.
What we have is little flags they play with at the games. First City U. We need
Love
t-shirts.
that.
How many students do you have right now?
In the fall, we had over 1,400.
Great. That's great.
I have a question with your social work program growing. Do the students do their practicums or in-time internships at the local nonprofits here? Is that
The bachelor in social work, which is on the main campus, yes, they do.
yes? Okay.
Yes.
the
they're
master's
over
is
at the masters, if they're local, they do it here. But
Okay.
that's online, totally online, so if they're all over the country.
Okay.
But the local ones do. I know they're at the shelter.
Oh, good. Okay.
One of them is at is at one of the other nursing homes on the other side. So yeah, they're all placed locally.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. And the idea is they fall in love and stay.
Yes, that would be amazing. Any other questions?
No, thank you. Thank you for your
It's always great to
update.
have you
Yep.
here.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate coming.
Yeah, and it's on TV so the public can see what you're doing too. It's a good
Yes,
thing
well,
to have you
thank you for
here.
the opportunity. And I like t-shirts. That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yes, ma'am.
Definitely.
Thank you, sister.
Thank you.
We need to mention the change in the agenda.
Oh,
Yeah.
We
yeah.
need a motion to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
So it was suggested that we move up, so our attorney's here, that we move up number 5 to number 4 and then go into executive session and then come back and do number 4. Does that make sense? So we'll do we just did the St. Mary, we'll do the Leavenworth County Historical Society, the Guidance Center, then we'll break for executive session and then come back and have the RHID discussion.
Okay.
So can I vote?
I so move that change in the agenda.
Second.
All right. So it's motion made. Second, we'll begin voting with Commissioner Hengela.
Aye.
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 All right, motion passes. Okay, so next up, we'll continue on the agenda with the Leavenworth County Historical Society. Denise, are you coming up, or?
Yes, 4:30.
All
I think
three-
they're all
three?
coming.
Okay, come on up. Oh, so you're wearing two hats tonight, sort of. Yeah. Okay. So when you talk, you'll just need to move the mic to you.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Good evening,
Welcome.
everyone.
Good evening.
Mayor, city manager, and members of the city commission, thank you for letting us come tonight. I'm Carol Ayers, and we are here on behalf of the Leavenworth County Historical Society. We wanted to speak with you tonight about the Spirit of the Buffalo Community Art Project and kind of update you on where we are and how far we've gone. So to give you a little history, in May of '24, the LCHS submitted, and we were one of only 14 out of 43 applicants to receive a $16,000 60/40 match grant from the Kansas Tourism for this project. The buffalo are sculptured from metal. They stand 4 feet tall and are 5 feet long. Local artists have been commissioned to provide original design and painting of the statues. And it features a fusion of rustic metal sculpture and vibrant themed art. And we do have some pictures over there. I don't know if you've looked at them, but I went out to the display, and believe me, they are vibrant themed art. They're very, very dramatic. So these powerful structures will offer a significant historic and cultural attraction. There are no other buffalo herds in the Midwest offering such an artistic theme, so these really are one of a kind. One added component that's very good is a digital application that allows learners to download onto their phones historic and cultural narratives of the Kansas Plains natives and the characteristics of the buffalo. We believe that this project will serve as a long-term tourist attraction for Leavenworth City and County. And now I want to introduce Tom Wallestad, our professor with the University of St. Mary, who is a statue sponsor. Tom?
Yes, well, the university sponsored one of our statues, and I was working with the Historical Society and also with the members from school that had brought on this buffalo and said, can we get our students to design some buffalo ideas and propose something? And then, so I had my sculpture class get together. I broke them up into teams of 5, and so Caroline Griffin is one of these members here, and I don't know if we've got anybody else from our class here. Nope, not yet. But Caroline led a team that we accepted her proposal for what we would do for this sculpture. So what's not on the board up here, I've got an example right here.
Okay.
They're playing with like the idea of like the history of like license plates throughout Kansas, and they did a lot of research on that, and then how to
Pass it
tie
around,
it
yeah.
to the local community and the sisters. So, yeah.
Creative idea.
Very unique.
Kansans love their license plates.
Yes.
Yet another mode of transportation. I
Yes.
wouldn't want to ride a buffalo, though.
That looks great.
It's lovely.
So,
So we are working on this currently. It is over at the university. They've been preparing it to do with primer, and then we're going to start to transfer the image over and try and get that accomplished the rest of the semester.
A lot of detail.
So-
That's cool.
So this one is on the next batch?
it's
Or the next
actually
herd?
in the first
Herd?
10.
Okay.
The first herd. And so 9, I'll share with you where those are going. But his, the students' sculpture, they're going to have on campus. So they'll be deciding what location.
Oh, fun.
Which is very exciting. And we've been proud to
partner with you. Tom also was one of our judges along with Alan Collins and then Laura Elkins from the Historical Society. They had a very tough position there because there was a lot of art to be selected. And so now the second series of Call to Artists is in place right now with a cutoff of next week.
You want to move the mic over to you?
So is now a good time to brag that our own
Yes,
Lindsay Batter
please.
is actually designed
Wilson Clark mural.
is the Wilson and Clark mural on the
Lewis,
Buffalo, and
yeah.
it's
Not Wilson.
it's amazing.
And that design was selected by Suburban Restaurant. They're going to
Yes,
have it
they, like,
in their
fought for it,
back.
yeah.
They did. We had people fighting over that
Yeah.
design.
Well, that's cool.
Thank you.
So as we mentioned, the first 9 have been completed. They're ready to be installed. Hopefully, after this storm that comes in, Home Depot, who we also received a grant from, will be pouring concrete pads for the hoofs to stabilize them and give them some more weight. So with the concrete and the statues themselves, they'll be about 125 pounds. The art themes, going back to the artist, the art themes were 3, and it was Historic Leavenworth, the State of Kansas, and the Old West. And I can leave this here for you all to see the designs and who the artists are. I can pick that up tomorrow, just so after your meeting, you might want to really check that out. They're amazing. Lots of talent in this community. Okay, so I'll just briefly talk about our sponsors and then the locations. Our first sponsor, and these are Leavenworth locations, was the Kansas Country Store. Don Brown walked into his office, introduced the program to him, and walked out, and he said, I want to be a sponsor. I mean, it was.
So it'll be right there
It'll be
downtown.
right outside of their entrance. JF Denny, Mark and Becky, they have sponsored a buffalo, and they graciously allowed us to put that at 3rd and Delaware on the corner where Home 2 Suites is, because we really wanted it downtown to attract visitors to our downtown businesses. Dr. and Mrs. Hunt sponsored a buffalo, and that will be located at Heartland Dental. Mark and Michelle, owners of Culver's on Eisenhower, they will have one there. And as I mentioned, the Suburban Restaurant, and then we will have one at the Carroll Mansion Museum, sponsored by Midwest Horizons Marketing. Main Street is sponsoring one, and that will be adjacent, where their beautiful mural is. It's going to be in the parking lot. There's a little grassy area that's been approved. And then University of St. Mary. And then out of Leavenworth, Tonganoxie Historical Society will have a buffalo, and that's sponsored by the Elkins family. And then Lansing City Hall will have a statue, and that was Everett Ward's design, which is the locomotives. And then he also, as you'll see, on his design, which was really unique because he really knows a lot of the history of the railroads here. He calls it the fallen flags, and that was all the railroad companies that were here in historic Leavenworth that are no longer
Yeah, their logos, all their
here.
logos.
All the logos, amazing. And each sponsor we see this as a long-term project. The sponsors have committed to 5 years. And then after the 5 years, while they're on display out on their sites, then they have the option to renew their sponsorship. And if they need refreshing any paint, we'll pick them up. Just if there's wear and tear, we will bring them back. We will get back with the artist and go from there. There will be maps available online once they're installed, so visitors and locals alike can see where they're at and go visit them. And I hope within a month, the QR code or the code for the learning feature will be on the signs at each location. And then our goal is to have printed maps that we'll distribute to the CVB for the visitor center and to local hotels. For the second herd, I ordered 12 more statues due to the demand and just the great support from this community. I already have 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 already
wow.
sponsored. And those
Any of
will be
those
delivered the first week. The manufacturer in New Mexico plans to have those here the first week of May, and then they'll go, just like the first process, they have to be delivered to a site that's enclosed and protected. Then they're
Primed.
primed. And then they get all delivered to the artist, and then the artists have a month, and then we go pick them back up, and then we put a clear coating on them, so it's a process.
So do you have 12 more locations?
These are the
Yes.
ones that are Exchange Bank downtown,
Oh, good.
St. John Hospital. Ken and Carly, owners of Tenpenny, have actually sponsored 2. One will be across from the restaurant, one will be on Metropolitan
And Broadway.
and Broadway. Perfect location because we don't have any over there. So everybody going to and from the fort on that side will be able to view that. And then Brian and Gina from Z&M Vineyards, they've sponsored one. And then we had 2 private families that have sponsored them. So they'll be in the country on their land. They won't be in town. But we're grateful to them. Our sponsors, our community partners has been the Kansas State Tourism Office, Home Depot, Leavenworth County Arts Association, LV Arts, and the cities of Leavenworth and Lansing, Kansas. I wanted to give a special thanks to the city because they've approved 4 sites that are on city property that allowing sponsors to place them in the downtown area. And those 4 approved sites are Haymarket Square, the Main Street parking area, Tenpenny, and then Union Park. And lastly, I wanted to give a big thank you to Christy Lee from the CVB. She, from day one, when I went to go visit her, she was so supportive of this project, and she provided us with tourism stats for Kansas and a very strong letter of support that went with the application for that large grant.
Good.
And I really think that helped us get the grant, so thank you, Christy.
Yay, Christy, thank you.
So by the fall, there will be 20 statues
Wow,
Yeah.
that's great. That's awesome.
on display.
I have a question about how are you going to get people from not crawling on them or getting on standing? Is there going to be like a do not?
There's going to be a do not stand on
Or
there.
climb or-
yes,
okay.
And there is going to be a message that we're not responsible.
Okay,
But I think insurance is important. We can, as a nonprofit, afford the insurance. The city of Lansing added the statues to their additional insurance. So
Okay.
I think it worries me.
Yeah.
yeah, it worries me a little bit too. Just because the main
The main is metal.
is
yeah.
metal, yeah.
Curled metal. And the whole body is, but the main
Yeah.
is really,
Right. Oh, I know one
Edgy.
sponsor that I didn't include because that was just agreed to last week. And that is Mr. Ray Rivera, Leavenworth Hotel, the new owner
yeah.
of the
Oh,
Leavenworth
okay.
Hotel.
okay.
So
Sorry, I missed him.
there'll be another one downtown.
There'll be another one downtown.
I think it'll be a good asset to the downtown.
I do too.
Have we looked into that for the city, like the city of Lansing added to their insurance?
Talk about, sorry. Tell you what, I will actually. So the city of Leavenworth has been working with the Historical Society on this project for probably the last year now. And we actually have an MOU put together with some simple terms about making sure those are maintained, and they talk to that. We work together on finding the right sites, where could we put that it wasn't blocking a sidewalk, didn't have any stormwater or electrical underneath. And as part of that MOU, we had initially requested that they covered on the insurance, and they came back and talked about about how cost prohibitive that was. So we removed that term and recommended that if they're able to, they do that, but we didn't require it. We talked to the city clerk's office who handles our insurance. That was also the point when I think we had a 40% increase in our city insurance policy. So we were incredibly hesitant to add anything else that might impact our costs, but we certainly had that discussion with them.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions for the Leavenworth County Historical Society?
No, it's been a fun project.
Yeah.
and Glad to be part of it.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Just to see them.
Me too.
They're
I'll be in
beautiful.
touch with all of you
We've been hearing about them.
as soon
We wanna
as
see 'em.
one is up.
And when they drop them off at our houses and they roll the thing back on the truck, it's like a herd to sit right there. Take one out and move on.
And we'll have an unveiling. I talked to Jen at the chamber, and they want to participate with that. I'm sure
Good.
Main Street will, and we'll
Oh, wow.
invite you
Yeah.
all.
That'd be
So you can
great.
have a ribbon cutting for each one? Or-
I'm not sure if
Each
we're gonna,
one.
we're gonna have a sheet.
Yeah, oh, like, ta-da! I love that. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, that's wonderful.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for
Thank
your
you,
hard
guys.
work. I'm excited.
Thank you, Carol.
All right. Next up is the report from the Guidance Center. Thank you, Sarah. Huh. Good evening, how are you?
Yeah, whoever's running the computer.
We certainly appreciate everybody's time tonight. Nice opportunity to come and share some news about the Guidance Center and what kind of work has been done. So, it sounds like you all have a PowerPoint that was provided. Which this is helpful. Mine's a little bit different, so, yeah. Well, my name is Stevie Durkin. I am the relatively new CEO of the Guidance Center. It seems like yesterday when Dr. Lawrence kind of came in and mentioned that I was going to be rejoining the Guidance Center team. And so I did that in August. And it has been an absolute pleasure to be back to the Guidance Center. So as Sister Diane was talking about master's level social workers, that's how my experience with the Guidance Center started. I was in a master's program at the University of Kansas. I was placed at the Guidance Center as a practicum student, which is a pretty cool kind of full circle experience to come back in this new role. So, but like I said, we appreciate your time. Just wanted to provide some data points, and then certainly open to hearing any data points in the future that you all would like to hear from the Guidance Center, okay? So I'll get to that here in a little bit. It's kind of how we are kind of focused in on kind of pinpointing some data points and things like that for the future. But certainly just kind of wanted to provide a high overview of what has kind of transpired since 2023 compared to 2024. So a lot of these I feel like are pretty impressive numbers. Remind you, I came in August. Has very little, if nothing, to do with me. It's a tremendous group of people that are dedicated to this community, obviously Atchison County and Jefferson County that makes up our catchment area. So it's an absolute honor to be able to kind of come and brag on our team a little bit. So I will also say I apologize if this is some information that you all had before. I know Dr. Warrens has come, Keith Rickard has come, and have really talked about our transition from while we're still a community mental health center, we have transitioned to a certified community behavioral health clinic. So we're both of those things now. There's a lot that goes into that. There was a ton of work that this team did to get ready for this transition, but this is really a major shift in mental health throughout the state of Kansas. And it's an exciting one. So this slide is really just a graphic to kind of show some of the things that have been added to our repertoire of services and areas of focus as we have entered into this program. So the CCBHC program, I won't bore you with all the details of it, is a federal program, okay, through SAMHSA. But the state of Kansas is able to implement their own version of the CCBHC program through the Kansas Department of Aging and Disability Services, okay? So that is somebody that's always overseeing the Community Mental Health Center program, and so this is an exciting shift throughout the state of Kansas. So some areas that I would just like to highlight real quick, and we'll get into some more details in the next slide. Training. We are an organization that historically has always really focused in on how do we train our clinicians, how do we train our staff in various positions to make sure that they're supported in evidence-based practices and in what the community is really needing. So we've made a lot of advancements there. We've identified a clinical training director and really are excited to offer, kind of monthly training sessions for our staff, for community providers, that we feel like overall just lends to overall community wellness, right? We want to increase the training and be able to offer that. I'll get into the Assertive Community Treatment Program. The Guidance Center has always, for as long as I'm familiar with the Guidance Center, has always provided recovery services as well. Community support services, so that's a little bit more focused in the adult kind of population. Always have had an area of that within our programming. And community-based services, which is the kids version of case management, psychosocial programs, different programs like that to help those kiddos. Crisis stabilization services is another slide that I'm going to touch on here. You all, I'm sure, are familiar with Guiding Lights. Crisis Center and the crisis services that we have within the Guidance Center. So we'll get to that. Some really cool initiatives that in the Justice Center that is completely different than what I'm familiar with at the Guidance Center. And I really appreciate the efforts that they've done there. Cognitive behavioral therapy too is just an evidence-based practice that SAMHSA is really big on, and rightfully so. So as you know, the Guidance Center serves 3 counties, Jefferson County, Atchison County, and Leavenworth County. This slide is indicative of overall a really big increase in community services. So some of those services that I just mentioned, like adult case management, children's case management, liaison services in the Justice Center, mobile crisis response, those services are reflected in this overall number, okay? So community services there, in 2023, we were sitting just over 41,000 visits. At the end of 2024, we were over 61,000 visits. Wow. And I will point out, and Beth, you correct me if I'm wrong here, that is reflective of services that we were able to bill for. So that's kind of claims data driven. What the actual number for us in total visits, including those that were not billable or we were not able to be compensated for, that's over 77,000 visits in the Guidance Center through all 3 counties. And we've got some pretty ambitious plans to continue to expand that effort. But that's just a brief slide to kind of show the advancement there. So, transportation. So I remember when Dr. Warnes came in and I was able to kind of tag along with him and he introduced me. I remember that being part of the conversation. It was a really significant partnership between the city of Leavenworth and the Guidance Center. So we definitely wanted to reflect some growth in that program as well. So 2023, 41,352 visits, and in 2024, that increased to 45,782 visits.
Rides.
Rides, not visits, sorry. Rides, which is a significant growth, but we continue to get asked, what other ways do we offer transportation? So addressing some of those needs within the county, all 3 counties, transportation is a constant theme, so we appreciate your partnership in that. The outcomes to get people to treatment makes it easier to access, right? And that's what mental health and a lot of different areas of healthcare need to be proactive in, making ourselves more accessible so that the people can get the care that they need.
When you say non-ambulatory, what's that mean for you?
What data point did we use on that, Bess?
So non-ambulatory, so they need, they're like a assisted ride, so the
Handicap accessible.
ADA.
ADA.
So out of all those rides, only 978 didn't need, they were all handicapped? Wow, okay. So,
What? Wait a minute.
No, the other way around.
It's the other way around.
oh, okay, other way.
Yeah.
So 978 of them,
We're non-ambulatory.
okay, got it, sorry.
Yeah.
Because
That
the
was in
majority, and we
2023,
need to
2024 is
get the
slight
stats on that,
increase.
but majority of people go to and from work is what we've heard.
Yeah.
But we're still looking for stats on that,
Yeah.
Stats on ride LB.
yeah,
Okay.
to and from work.
So they're using it for work?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
and other things, yeah.
In my mind, I think doctor's appointment or Walmart, but yeah, it's
Work.
work.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
lots of needs for transportation, that's for sure. So appreciate those questions and the recommendation for data points. We'll certainly look into that. Yeah,
Thank you.
Absolutely. So on the adult services program, so that encompasses a lot of different areas of adult services. So you can see that kind of in this pie chart. A few that I wanted to point out in this presentation is the growth in assertive community treatment, which is really a very active team that works to identify the most high needs individuals, adults, in Leavenworth County, Atchison County, Jefferson County, that experience maybe substance use disorders or mental health needs that are really hard to engage in traditional outpatient care, right? So these are individuals, this team works with individuals that may be at the interfaith shelter, could be homeless, they could be engaging them in treatment under a bridge. I mean, wherever these individuals are, this team is tasked with going and locating them and trying to figure out ways that we can get them engaged in traditional services. So it's a kind of an intermediary while we work to support those individuals that are just very high needs. Individual placement and support programs, sorry, I'm going to point out, that program jumped by 65% last year. So really, this team is focused in on engaging as many as they can, but with the size of the team, we can only get to so many individuals. So they are, I believe, around about 50 individuals on that caseload right now, and a full team supporting those individuals in the community. Individual placement and support, this is really a growing program as well. When I came into the organization just in August, I knew that we had a wait list for this program. And that team, by hiring additional members to support this program, has worked to identify employment placement or educational placement for individuals that have been identified within our internal system that may need extra support. So that program has grown from 7 to 64 individuals, and we are starting to see more of an expansion into Jefferson County and Atchison County. So we've identified people and helped place them with employment opportunities here in Leavenworth, could be over in Missouri, wherever we can find positions that they qualify for and that they have interest in. So this is another big program pushed by the CCBHC program. So throughout the state of Kansas, we should see continued growth in this respect. Crisis services, again, both emergency services grew by 81%, and Crisis Stabilization Center 71%. A lot of that is really reflective of finally hiring enough people to support those programs. I would love to tell you that we've hired enough staff. That is not the case. So to hear that there's a master's level, I'm a social worker, so I'm a little bit biased, but there's a local program here, even if they're students from across the country. I love to see investment in these kind of programs because they're very well trained in addressing a whole gamut of things that impact overall health in a community. That's a great opportunity here locally.
Can they do internships with you too?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep, that's how I started. So I think it's a really cool path. I'm a big believer in community mental health. I really feel like it gives you a broader view of what community health is really about. It's as broad as you want to make it. There's a lot of things that go into that. But yeah, we definitely have that. We've got partnerships with a lot of local universities in the state.
Where are your referrals coming from? I know you mentioned, we said things like under the bridge, but is that from the police department? Because that's a lot of people.
So it could be a combination of things. Those are certainly possibilities there. So it could be ER visits, it could be interactions that we have with our mobile crisis team or our co-responder, our co-responder helping identify people that have come and made it into the guidance center that we just kind of see fall off. And there's some claims data and some state data that we access to identify those individuals. So ultimately, we see a lot of psychiatric hospitalizations with these individuals. And so when they go in and they discharge back to the community, there's a little bit, and we're gonna further our efforts with this hospital liaison work, but that's an element too. That's a path that we identify individuals as well.
And then the individual placement support, is that just for jobs?
Or
do you support them with other things, housing?
Placement, housing, there's a part of our program now that also addresses housing too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anything that they individually need and support, you will find them a place, a home, a landing place?
Yeah,
okay.
we will work to. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
In the assertive treatment folks safe?
That's a good question. I appreciate you asking that question. That's a hard job. It's a hard job. So we never want our staff to go into a situation where they feel unsafe. So really these partnerships with local police department, local sheriff's department, those are vital. And they are big supporters from what I've gathered in all my conversations, big supporters of what we're doing at the Guidance Center. But I appreciate you asking that question because that's a reality. But we want to make sure that our staff are safe, but we want to engage these people that need our support in any way we can. And these are really the most probably externally facing kind of efforts to make that stuff happen. So
They're always paired up, there's never one person goes, right?
there can be,
Yeah.
there can be. So again, we need to continue our efforts to add to our team. But if anybody within our staff does not feel safe, we're never gonna ask them to go alone. Never gonna go alone. Typically, what you would probably see is if they do go alone, it's because they're familiar with the family or that individual, already have that therapeutic rapport kind of established. But yeah, it's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge.
Thank you.
Yeah. So next slide is youth services. So I'm not sure if you all are aware of the school-based clinicians. Okay, so I won't keep you on those points. But again, youth services grew by more than 50%. I'm a big believer in these school-based programs. Like case managers for years and years have done a tremendous job of just going where the kiddos are, right? Like being there, making it easier to access care. And through these partnerships with these school districts, having a licensed clinical therapist or master's level therapist in the school reduces a lot of barriers that families experience. It could be transportation. It could be a parent that doesn't have a job that offers PTO, whatever, or the ability to flex their schedule or time off. And so we want to be more accessible to those that need us. And this has proven to be a very beneficial program. We're seeing a lot of growth in this in Jefferson County as well, but Leavenworth has really allowed us to establish and grow this program pretty significantly. So,
I think Leavenworth was the original program.
Yeah,
because
it was.
Because of our amazing teachers and people.
Yeah,
saw
and
that there was
kudos
need.
to the school districts. I mean, it's a tremendous leap of faith to allow our staff to come in, and our staff have done a good job of trying to integrate into the school system, but they're different systems, right? I mean, there are barriers that just naturally kind of occur there, but building those relationships with those districts, and it sounds like has been very, very positive and relatively easy to do. We want those teachers to be able to do what they're best at and support the school districts and whatever resources we can offer. And then again, kids get the care that they need.
What grades?
So we are predominantly middle school and high school from what I believe, but I think that we've got some, yeah, we typically see more engagement. That's just anecdotal, so I will label it that. But middle school and high school, we typically see a little bit more engagement. But elementary school kiddos, if they're able to engage in the therapeutic process, certainly can. Yeah, and Fort Leavenworth too, yeah, absolutely. So crisis services is the next slide. So this is really a growing program, and what we've seen is the need to better educate our communities that we serve. So Guiding Lights, for example, serves all of Northeast Kansas: Leavenworth, Jefferson, Atchison County, Nemaha, Brown, Doniphan, and Jackson. So we're not seeing as much engagement from those communities, and we need to get out and make sure that they're aware of this service here. So we're also seeing some data points here about the emergency room. So we're beginning to collect a lot more data points so that we can better assess where we need to focus our efforts. But I will say, broad stroke, we need to educate other communities more on this availability too.
And how many beds do you have?
So it's 12. 12, yep. So efforts to engage or offer more programming when someone is at Guiding Lights. Chloe Grubanski has just come in as our crisis director, and she's got a lot of really great ideas, and we look forward to seeing that grow under her leadership.
I'm so glad we have that now.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It was such a desert before.
Yeah, it's a vital. So the co-responder model here, so I won't go through each data point. I know you all got a lot on the agenda tonight. The co-responder model, Andrea Kessler has done a tremendous job working with the local police department. Really, we're trying to divert things that aren't necessarily need to be addressed by police. They're tremendous at what they do, but if we can identify a mental health need and we can address that, that's obviously what we want to do. So this could turn into ER diversions, jail diversions, different things like that. So this is another program that I was excited to see when I came into the Guidance Center. Andrea has done a tremendous job, and we appreciate Chief Kitchens and his partnership and his staff partnership in this program. So, jail liaison, so over at the Sheriff's Department, again, appreciate the partnership with Sheriff Dedeke. Jail liaison, working with those that are incarcerated to identify what needs may be going unaddressed. So needs for mental health treatment, substance use treatment, whatever that may be, having this individual in there, have those conversations, learn more about things that may be impacting these individuals. That's what we want to do. We want to create, another opening for treatment, right? So that's been another great program for us. So just real briefly in closing, the Guidance Center really is looking forward to engaging in the strategic planning process. Last strategic plan was 2017, which would have ran to 2020. We all know what happened in 2020, and then we worked on a transition to the CCDHC model. So we are really looking forward to engaging in the strategic planning process, and part of that, what I want to see happen is getting community feedback and engagement. We want to learn from our community what areas of need to be addressed and how we can collaboratively work to address those together. We just recently hired a chief information officer so we can refine even further the data that we collect and how we collect that. Again, I think that really influences all aspects of healthcare and healthcare delivery, as we need to be very agile in how we use data. Expansion of staff and services, again, there's going to be some expansion here in Leavenworth. Some things that will be coming down the pipeline here relatively soon. But we really want to see some of these programs begin to go out further in greater capacity in Atchison County and Jefferson County. Leavenworth typically is where these services have started. And so then they kind of spread out into the other communities. But again, we will see continued expansion here in Leavenworth County too. We anticipate a need for about 70 more individuals in various positions within the Guidance Center in all three counties.
Wow.
I remember last time, Commissioner Wilson, that you asked, what are some ways that the city, and I'm not putting this on the city at all, I'm just going to tell you, one of our struggles right now is space.
Yeah.
It is really space. Like we are lucky to have the facility that we have. It's a great building. We're maxed out in that building. So we're really looking at how we can accommodate even more individuals into the workforce at the Guidance Center. But it's a good problem to have. It's something that we're gonna continue to work on. So y'all have my contact information. If anybody's got any ideas, certainly open to hearing that.
Have you identified any specific locations?
We've looked around. We've looked around at a couple. Some that would just it'd take the money to do it. But I think there are certainly some good options to be able to do that. So it goes back to strategic planning.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? Who are we going to place in these locations, and how are we going to go about addressing that funding need? So,
Can you grow where you're at your current campus?
we can.
Yeah.
We
Get
can.
some space.
back
Yeah,
Get some space back
everybody
there.
likes their own office, and
Yeah.
I get it, absolutely. We are, quickly coming into a reality where that's not probably gonna be possible for as many people as we would like to be able to provide that to.
Right.
But yeah, we've got some pretty decent sized office that we'll have to, kind of cut up a little bit.
Yeah.
And
You
then,
can always add on to the back.
I don't know that we've had that conversation yet, but yeah, I mean, we're open to a lot of ideas, so I look forward to the strategic planning process and hearing some of those things, so. But again, we appreciate your support, I appreciate you all, welcoming us and kind of hearing some of these things, but certainly am open to any feedback that you want us to be aware of, any data points that you feel like would be helpful in the future, in addition to the Ride LV stuff. So whether that's now or later, always open to hear that feedback.
Well, I know, I appreciate the partnership, especially with the police and
Yes.
the Ride LV and just being transparent, and I know we've met, and I appreciate that. And thank you for what you do, because I know it's not easy.
No, our staff are great, they work incredibly hard, and you're right, I mean, there's a lot of need out there, and they work incredibly hard to do it. So again, it's an honor to be able to represent them.
Thank you. Any other
Appreciate
questions?
you. Thank you, sir.
No, thank you.
Well, thank
all very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Great presentation.
All right. So at this time, I'm going to make a motion to move the city commission, that the city commission recess into executive session for a period of 20 minutes for the purpose of discussing legal no.
Wait, we need to recess the study session and have a motion to open the special meeting.
Oh,
So first
do
we
that.
just,
Recess.
you don't have to motion to recess, but we just need to state that we're recessing the,
Oh, we don't have to, I don't have to read this motion?
you will,
You will, but not yet.
just not quite.
Oh. Okay,
Need to recess the session.
Yeah.
were two separately called meetings, so there's a study
Got
session
it,
and a
okay.
special meeting.
so I need a
So you're
motion to
Temporarily
recess the
recess.
current.
Or you're just,
No,
you can just
you
announce
recess
You just say it,
recessing.
we're recessing the study session.
And
All right, we're recessing the study session. Let's go.
moving into the special,
Okay, we're moving into the special meeting.
yeah, which has been called for the purposes of holding an attorney-client privilege conversation regarding zoning matters. And now,
What you said. Okay,
So now we need a motion to open. the
okay,
special
so
meeting.
I move.
this
we
is
open.
what this is, right? That I have
Oh,
to
she
read?
has
to read it.
Not yet, okay,
I
So
move
you're
that
one
we
more.
open the special meeting.
okay. So
I second.
second, okay, now we can begin voting, and I'll start with Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
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 Okay, so now we are,
now you can have your motion.
okay, I'm learning. 3 months in and I'm learning.
And we're all
All right.
learning that one.
Now, yeah, you're see? We've never had this before. All right, so now I'm going to make a motion to move the city commission recess into executive session for a period of 20 minutes for the purpose of discussing a legal matter with the city attorney under the justification for consultation with an attorney for the public body or agency which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, which is KSA 75-4319B2. The city commission, the city manager, and the city attorney will be present. The open meeting will resume in the city commission chambers at
7-Eleven.
7:11 PM.
Second.
Second, all right. Motion's been made, second. Start begin voting with Commissioner Hengler.
Aye.
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 All right. Let's go.
There we go.
Do I gavel out?
No.
No, okay, because we're still.
You will gavel back in.
I'll give it.
Yeah, just Okay,
After this.
all right.
Did we say 20 or 15?
That's exactly, we said 15 or 20.
Okay, well, should I just go 20 to be safe?
Just say
Okay.
20, yeah.
And note to self, this clock and this clock are
They're
off.
not the same, we go off this
Yeah,
one.
okay,
We go off the route, yeah, the
We'll
ones
look at
in.
it again. It should be the same.
okay. Is there a second hand on that thing?
There is not.
It's the longest minute.
So I got used to the seconds for a while.
Oh, there it is. All right, we're going to gavel back in, but we're going to make another motion as we need more time. So I'm going to make a motion to move the city commission recess into executive session for a period of another 20 minutes for the purpose of discussing a legal matter with the city attorney under the justification for consultation with an attorney for the public body or agency which be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, which is KSA 75-4319B2. The city commission, the city manager, and the city attorney will be present. The open meeting will resume in the city commission chambers at
7:31.
7:31. All right, send a
Second.
second.
Yep.
All right, we'll begin voting with Commissioner Hingla.
Aye.
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 All right. Move the session.
Have fun.
All right, we're gavel back into the special meeting. And now I need a motion to close the special meeting.
So moved.
So, yeah, second.
All right. Motion is made and second. We'll begin voting with Commissioner Hengela.
Aye.
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 All right. Now, do I need a motion to open, I just continue the
No, we'll
regular?
just resume the study session.
Okay,
I
we're
know, I'm
resuming the
sorry.
study session.
So
All right.
messy.
So, next up is Reinvestment Housing Initiative District, RHID discussion.
All right, well, let me get right on into it here.
All right, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for waiting.
Okay.
We saved the best for last.
So a little bit of background I'll give you guys on this discussion that we're having tonight. It essentially comes driven by a little bit of the market. We've received some inquiries from developers and other people who are potentially interested in using this program. It's something that some of our sister cities, neighboring cities have adopted. Lansing recently adopted an RHID policy. I think Tonganoxie may have one.
They do.
So some of our surrounding communities are getting involved in this. And so I think that's why we're seeing an increase in interest in this generally. Should I wait for?
Can we take a quick 2 minutes?
You want to?
You can announce a recess, Mayor, on your own, so.
Quick.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to take a 2-minute recess. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
And I was gonna wait for somebody to come back then.
I'm looking at slow motion.
Oh, you're good.
Okay. Oh, we took a recess real quick.
Recess and, thank you, Kim. We all needed a bio break. You can begin.
All
Again.
right, yeah, so let me just kind of recap what I had quickly said there. This is coming to you tonight because we've received interest from potential developers who may want to use this program. Some of our surrounding cities, Lansing, Tonganoxie, Baser, have implemented similar programs for an RHID district. This is a program that historically has been called Rural Housing Incentive Development, and you may be familiar with it by that name. That was started in Kansas, I believe, in the late 90s. However, in years since then, there have been updates to that legislation, and one of those updates amended the legislation so that larger cities are eligible for certain projects, and then it also updated the types of projects that are eligible, which I'll get into here in a little bit. But essentially, the baseline of the program remains the same, that it's an incentives program that looks at redirecting tax buildup from what would just go into city coffers to finance infrastructure development for these development and housing projects. Specifically, it is focused on housing development. That can be single-family, multi-family, or second-story residential in commercial mixed-use districts, so like the downtown area. Generally, it does not increase property taxes, but it does redirect those taxes, tax gains that would happen from the development of that property. So here I have an example for you. In 2025, we have an undeveloped lot that say they're paying $50 in taxes. If we establish that lot to be within the RHID district, which it is something that requires commission approval, their taxes for the next 10 years as they develop, or however long we establish, they would continue paying the baseline tax. And then the additional of that money, that tax growth, would be reimbursed to them. So, well, essentially they would pay the $500, but then we would reimburse them the $450, however much it has increased in the time since we established the district. A little bit about how it works. Like I mentioned, the city commission and staff would do a housing analysis, housing needs assessment, and basically determine where we would want to establish the district at. After we've determined that, there's a process that I have outlined in the policy report of the different steps that you would take, but essentially we determine the district. It needs approval by the city commission, it needs a buy-in from the county, and it would need approval from the school districts. And then we take it to the Department of Commerce for approval, the Kansas Department of Commerce for approval. They would approve the district, and then we would work with our developers to actually start using the program. There are two different types. So subdivision infrastructure, RHID, which is more of the classic framework where you're using it to build single-family subdivisions, and that tax rebate can go towards infrastructure, cost of land, utilities, that type of thing. And then there's the upper story RHID, which is a newer component in the last several years, where the RHID can be used in a central business district for upper story development of housing only. So it's still housing focused, but in this particular format, it can be used for other remodeling costs, so HVAC, floors.
Fire?
Yeah, what was that?
Fire suppression?
You know, that's a great question. I will have to look into that. That is a great question. But it opens it up to more uses when it's in the upper story.
So this would be good for, that would be good for the downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be, essentially because it has to be located within the central business district, that's really the only area that here in Leavenworth, we can do the upper story.
It's especially worth considering for the buildings that have businesses on the ground floor, and then they have those second and third floor apartments that are vacant. You know, we're not I mean, it's up to you guys, obviously it's your decision. We're not necessarily considering recommending for, saying, completely repurposing an entire warehouse for lofts or something like that. But just for your consideration on that.
That's why that fire suppression would be
Yeah,
important.
I can look into that for you. And yeah, like Scott stated, really the purpose tonight is to have an initial look at this. It's something that's been brought to our attention, so we want to pass it along to you guys as well and get the discussion started.
Question,
Yep,
is it a developer that has to want to do this, or
no.
somebody who owns a building?
So, do you mean once we establish the district?
Yeah, and if a building is within the district, you know, can the building owner say, I want to use this, sorry,
They could take
Yeah,
for the sake of the second floor and above?
advantage of it, yeah.
Yes.
They could
exactly.
take advantage of it.
So
Similar
the owner
to
can do it, yeah.
Similar to
Yeah.
what the other,
the NRA.
yeah, right.
So similar functionality to that. Here I just put together a brief listing of potential benefits and considerations. It could help with housing development, but in the consideration side, it could be also a long-term program up to 25 years where you want to look at how that's going to affect the long-term tax rolls. It would require initial city investment to do the housing needs analysis as well as staff support to continue administering the program. And then really this should be used in areas where it's difficult to develop without incentives. So if we have a piece of greenfield development that is ripe for development, that may not be the best area where we want to establish a district. But again, that would be what we would look at in the housing needs analysis. So that would really guide our direction on that.
But you don't have to use it for that,
You don't have to use it for that, no, you could do the upper story. But then it has the positives that it can help spur some of that economic growth for housing development. And it's really multifaceted in that you can use it for multifamily, single family, or some of those mixed-use buildings. So it has a variety of approaches that you can take with it.
So when you set up a district, do you have to set it up for that certain type, or?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yep, you have to set it up for that certain type, and you have to specifically provide the legal description boundary of that area. And I believe the legal descriptions for the properties that are within that district, so.
Okay.
This is my last slide here, but I just wanted to put together a quick comparison of this program as well as some of the other incentive programs that the city is already operating. So we do already have the neighborhood revitalization area, which is in the northern portion of Leavenworth. And that is a similar functioning program, but that can be used for residential, commercial, or industrial. So that covers a little bit more of a wider range, and typically that program only lasts for 5 to 10 years, whereas this one can go up to 25. And then we have the TIF district, which to my understanding is a little bit different than what these would be, just by the way that they're funded and developed. And then that one again can be used for commercial, industrial, or mixed use.
Can you tell me the NRA boundaries?
I do not know them off the top of my head. Penny, do you know?
I can. Let's see if I can use them off the top of my head. I believe it is, the northern boundary is Metropolitan Ave. It goes south, I think, all the way to Spruce Street. I'm gonna double check that. It goes to the west to, it's either Broadway or 10th. It definitely goes to Broadway. I don't know if it goes as far as 10th. And then it goes past 4th Street to Esplanade. So it's pretty much the entire northeast sector of the city is the NRA program. And the map is available on the city's webpage.
So why aren't more people, like, why can't the downtown people use NRA, but they can use RHID? 'Cause
Well, so that's a question that we would like to answer better internally is why is the NRA not being used as much as it could be? Is that because it's not the right tool and RHID may be a better tool?
Right.
Or is that a messaging issue? We're not getting out there enough? Is it that the rebates just don't cover the gap in costs that developers feel they would need to? We don't know the answer to that, so I think before we get too far down the process, I think it would be wise for us to really look into why is the NRA not as successful as we feel it could be or whatever, so.
Because I feel like when this RHID came on the scene, developers were excited, people were coming to us. I haven't been on the commission that long, but I've never seen anybody knock on a door for NRA. So there must be something better, or I don't know.
It could well be that that's the case, we just, we haven't
Right.
looked at that internally.
What I do like about the RHID is it does address when Dr. Adams was here and he was talking about two things, that he didn't have housing for his teachers, and then he didn't have, for better lack, butts in the seats because they're tenants. I like that the RHID does promote that development in town for developers to build houses.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of covers that gap with the school board, which hopefully maybe that's why schools are approving this.
Yeah, why do we even need the schools
Because
and
it's
the
property
county?
taxes.
So the
Property tax,
county
so
and the
this would
school,
affect their property
Yes.
taxes as well.
And the county.
so they have to sign off on it.
So basically, we wouldn't be getting any
You'd be
additional.
Correct.
Right.
You'd be
Property
getting the
tax
same property tax you were
we are
getting
now.
prior to the construction for so you can set it up to 25 years. I think most of our neighbors have not done 25, I think most of them did like 20. But that is a long
Still a long
time.
time, yeah.
That is a long time.
And so it has to go through all the approval processes, so if someone denies it, then.
Yeah, so if the school board or the county veto them, then yeah, we would be pretty much out. And my understanding is the appetite for these is waning. among some of our, not just but among other county governments as well.
Why?
Because they don't want to lose out on the property tax revenue, so.
Well, if
I'm
you
not
don't have
saying
it
it's-
anyway.
Yeah, it's,
I
I'm
mean,
not
if you don't
saying
have
it's
it
a
anyway, what,
flat no, but
Yeah.
Okay, this is kind of dumb. This is, I know, a dumb question. So developer comes in, our RHID, and builds 100 homes. And then someone buys the home. The person who buys the home still has to pay property taxes at the rate of what the house is worth, right? So they're not, once the
Yeah.
houses are built, they're not gonna be losing out money, they'd be gaining money, right? Because there's 100 more homes in the county.
Well, that's something that we'll need to look into, because I don't know that I have the answer for that.
I think that they pay what the property tax would be.
Right, so
Yeah.
the county's actually gonna make more money with 100 new homes than they would with an empty lot.
Sure, so but they don't lose out on the,
Like that, though. They
Yep.
won't- They wouldn't look at it.
but
like
having
that.
more housing, you've got
Look,
more
look, Jerry.
people in housing, you've got more
was
schools.
a
I
developer.
know he'd want to talk.
Can I answer your question?
Yeah.
Or what I think happens?
Come up,
Okay.
come up. I was hoping you'd say that. You know what you're talking about.
Well, and I haven't done, as part of the conversation with the city of Lansing with this, and I've worked with our consultant on this for Lansing. There's two ways my understanding is there's two ways that these RHADs can happen. One is a bonded and one is pay-as-you-go. So I think in your situation, it would probably be a bonded deal, and that's why people are still paying taxes, and then the taxes are collected, paid to the bonding agency, who's already paid off the developer. If you have a pay-as-you-go, like, someone who's gonna hold the thing, then you're reimbursed until the applicable costs are paid off. So I think if you're doing a development, you're paying things off, it'll probably be a bonded project. I don't know this for sure, but that's what I suspect could happen.
Okay. And so obviously, if Tonganoxie's doing it and Lansing's doing it, county signed off on.
And the schools.
In the schools.
And the
that
schools.
signed off
Correct.
theirs, right?
correct. But I don't, and again, it would appear that the school district at least is considering these options based on their need for students, but no RHID has gone before the Leavenworth School District.
Right, okay. Okay.
Oh, can you set up more than one district?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So it could be you could do downtown, you could be 28th Street.
So that's what, from staff's perspective, what we would certainly recommend, if this is something you guys want to consider, is to certainly take a targeted approach to it. As Kim mentioned, you don't want to, give up opportunities for development that would be developed anyways. So it's a matter of finding those problem
Finding
areas.
properties that you can't.
Yeah, and giving that incentive to developers,
Well, I'm a big proponent of North Leavenworth, so anything they can develop up there, and I know Jermaine is too.
Yeah. So, but we already have that in the NRA, right? So that's what I want to find out. I want to find out, we've had it in NRA, why hasn't,
Why is it being used?
yeah, and then why would this one be better if this one was implemented?
But that's,
Um,
it is residential too. I was thinking of
Yeah.
mostly commercial.
I definitely think
Industrial.
this would be amazing for our downtown. And I'm a proponent of it, bringing in any new housing, affordable, or don't call it affordable, attainable housing.
Attainable housing. Well, just housing. We need, and we've been told a long time ago that we need quality replacement housing for those old houses up in North Leavenworth
Right.
that are falling down, so.
And you said you're looking to the fire suppression. Yeah.
So what's our next move? Do we, as a commission, need to,
Census or?
So, yeah, if you want us to proceed with this, I think probably the next step is we would conduct our own housing needs assessment. That may be, we haven't gotten quotes on that yet, that may be within my purview to just spend it. We don't know yet. A developer did provide a housing needs assessment for us that we provided portion of to you, free of charge to the city, which we certainly appreciate. And it did provide some information, but after kind of consulting with other communities, They suggested that we conduct one on our own, and so that we have a little more, I don't know, what's the word, our fingers more on the pie or something, but just so it more targets the information that we need.
Yeah, and I'll state, so you mentioned that that's a portion of one, that is actually the full housing
Excuse me,
survey that
yeah.
they provided for us.
Okay.
So it's really an initial look more so at where we're at. I think it's about 13 pages or something long. And some of the surrounding communities that we've looked at, their needs assessment is, 40 to 60 pages long, and it includes things like recommendations, priorities and that type of thing. So really, that's kind of a baseline of the existing data, and then we would want to get into what are we doing with this data for that survey.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Yeah, I agree.
The more information we can get, the better.
We have no problem with this, part of Senate Bill 17 you sent us, where, let's see, yeah, any city prior to July 1st, 2013 is located in whole or in part within the boundaries of a county designated by the United States Federal Emergency Management Agency under major disaster declaration FEMA-1711-DR or FEMA-1699 as eligible to receive individual public assistance from the United States federal government, blah, blah, blah. We don't have any.
What is your question?
The question is, does this thing affect us to the point of, no, you're not eligible?
For FEMA? No, I don't think
I
so.
mean, we've never been declared a disaster, I don't think.
What section is that?
Page 12,
Go to page 12, and it's about, 2/3 of the way down, section 8.
We will need to read it and confirm that with the city attorney, but no, I don't think FEMA cares what kind of a housing development is. They'll come regardless if it's a big.
Oh, yeah, no, this is just talking about, what could make you ineligible for using this?
Yeah, it seems to me if we have been declared a disaster.
Greenfield
what I'm
like disaster.
Then
Yeah.
that may have an impact.
Have we ever been?
I don't think we have anything like
No,
that.
obviously, we wouldn't recommend this for like construction of a floodplain or something like that, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we were, when they had that huge flood.
No, I'm
83,
all for checking to see how it
Was
flows.
this a disaster?
Yeah, it was. It was.
So, it appears
Off
we're
the
all in
subject.
consensus to move forward
Okay.
with the next steps for this.
So our next step is we'll probably RFQ or RFP probably for a housing needs study. And see, whatever, I don't know which one is the best. We'll confer with Penny and Kim on that, and then we'll come back to you guys once we have that.
Yeah, and I think that would be good to have anyway for grants and lots of stuff. just
Yes.
To see where we're at.
Yeah.
Depending on the cost, we may bring it back to you guys. If it's not within my purchasing authority, obviously we'll have to bring it back to you guys, so.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? Well, thank you.
Thank you, and I
Thank
did
you.
leave you guys with some resources, just general information, so as, at the city, as we're still learning about this project, you guys have the first source information available in the packet tonight as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy, for coming.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for being on the spot there. Scott, do you have anything for us this week?
Yeah, just real quick, about the goal-setting session on Friday, I just kind of wanted to let you guys know how that's going to go. We're gonna mix things up a little bit this year, just to make the way that, frankly, changes the way that I would like to see them changed.
Okay.
In the past, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus here, it's just how I would like to do it. In the past, it kind of feels like the goals have been independent from the budget itself. I think that it's great to have, not lofty, but, goals and projects that we all want to look forward to. But given that our financial situation is not dire, but it is serious, I would like our goals, or I would like our budget to reflect the commission's goals. So what I would like us to do is to take an approach of how do you want, on Friday, discuss with us, how do you want the budget to look based on how you want the city's projects and direction to go. Does that make sense? So that way, when we have this goal setting session with you guys, we're not gonna have as many, that big thick packet that we've had in the past. It will be more targeted, more prioritized, and then we will come back to you guys with budget that reflects those goals, if that makes sense. To help you with that, every department head has sent me 1 to 3 slides, and each department head is going to present you guys 15 minutes tops, each department. It'll be less than that for some departments, like the city clerk's office. But they're gonna
half hours?
they're basically, each department head is basically gonna give you like a little mini state of the department.
Okay.
And talk about, what the issues they're seeing, what they view their priorities are. And that'll be, and myself and finance team at the very beginning will give you a general overview of where we are financially in the city, what we're looking at, and all of that, so you can have that in your brains. And then in the last 2 hours of the meeting will be you guys, turning it over to you guys, with that information that we've all just thrown right at you, and giving us some overarching ideas on how you guys want us to move into the future, okay?
Yeah,
I love that, because I feel like we set these pie in the sky
Right.
goals every year, and then we don't touch them. We don't go look back at them. I mean, I know Griff and I still want Christmas lights, right, though?
And yeah,
I like Christmas lights.
I'm just using that example, but yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, Mayor, and that does remind me, and then, once we have those in place, we will periodically bring back to you a project update, basically, on here's what we're doing on these goals from time to time, to show you that we're actually working towards them. We're spending the city's money to achieve those goals, and all of that, so.
Yes, thank you.
We think that's 8 to 12, what was the?
8 to 12, yes. There will be breaks, and there will be treats and coffee and caffeine and all of that, so, yeah.
On the bar.
In here.
All right.
Mayor's bringing the omelet bar, I guess.
yeah.
That's all I
All
have.
right, thank you. Griff, do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything, thank you.
Nancy?
No, I'm good.
No.
Thank you.
Ed, anything?
Zippity doo dah.
Did you say zippity doo dah?
That's what I said.
Okay. What's that from? It's a song, isn't it?
Song of the South.
Sounds, oh, gosh. Okay.
Yeah,
good.
song in the south.
Shout out to the St. Patrick's Day Committee. Parade was amazing.
Yes, thank you.
Weather was great, and everyone that
I didn't think that
participated and supported, it was amazing. God bless and have a great week.
Beautiful day,
Yeah.
beautiful day.
Yep, that's all I have as well. It was a great parade, great day, beautiful weather. Apparently it's gonna get cold again tomorrow, so typical Kansas weather. So everybody have a great week, and we'll see you Friday morning.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
See you then.
I need to adjourn.
Yeah, go ahead.
Boom.
I'll make a motion to.
No.
No, I
You
just
don't
move
have
it
to.
and
No.
then. All right.